So I'm making a documentary to find the perfect sequence. of sounds. Non-linguistic. Because I think it's really interesting that everyone has different associations with different sounds. For example, I love the sound of the washing machine because I'm used to doing work alongside it and I like the rhythm of it. It kind of makes me really focus. But then I know friends who hate the sound of the washing machine because they just think it's loud and annoying. And subconsciously, maybe depending on what your mindset is, you might think, oh, it's another week is gone. I have to do my washing again. So then straight away you have negative associations with the washing machine sound. I'm going to be making YouTube videos of all the research I do, but there will be one final end short film type of thing. So a rough plan of how I'm going to attack this, I'm going to do research, which includes reading peer-reviewed articles, papers, journals, watching videos on it that's already existed, and then once I've done all my research, I'm going to write out a script and then go out and start interviewing people. And then once I've interviewed people, I'm going to start making visuals for it. This is early stages. I really want to do this well. The whole thing is just trying to make something that brings people together and you feel better at the end of it. I really want to make something hopeful. So let's get into it. You've probably had the thought, oh my god, wow, this moment is perfect, I wouldn't change a thing. And usually you probably feel feelings of warmth and appreciation or gentleness. But what is perfection outside of these fleeting moments in everyday practical life? According to Hewitt and Fleck, the dimensions of perfectionism can be broken down into three components: self-oriented perfectionism, others-oriented perfectionism, and self-prescribed perfectionism. These names are pretty self-explanatory. Self is when you put standards on yourself, others is when you put standards on other people, and self-prescribed is when you think other people have put standards on you. Straight away, I thought, wow, I need to find out what these standards are in this day and age. Because if I can find out these so-called ideal dream visions, then I can find the sounds associated to it, and hence created the perfect sequence of sounds. But all three of those dimensions of perfectionism were heavily linked to feeling not good enough due to falsified beliefs of what is enough. So if I interview someone who suffers from socially prescribed perfectionism, they're gonna tell me what they think is the perfect sound, but in reality, it's what other people would think, because they're so heavily influenced by other people's idea of them. They live their lives trying to attain standards and expectations prescribed by others. But at the same time, self-oriented and other-oriented perfectionists will also tell us something that they believe to be perfect, but is not inherently their own belief. This brings us to, what is the true perfect? And do I even want to find the true perfect if it might not mean anything to anyone? The reason that things move us is because there's no objective truth to it. Perfectionism is the result of wanting to please and be accepted and achieved, to find meaning. And this pursuit actually causes misery and insecurity. So maybe the perfect sound is actually the opposite of our idea of perfect. And also, people that pursue perfection are more emotionally unstable according to studies. So I want to find a sequence of sounds that also mean a lot to people that aren't suffering mentally. So to find the opposite of perfect, we need to know what people define as perfect in practical life. In Curran and Hill, Perfection's on the Rise: Connection to Broader Cultural and Generational Shifts. This paper said that the three dimensions of perfectionism has linearly increased between 1989 and 2016. Recent generations of young people think that others are more demanding of them, they're more demanding of others, and are more demanding of themselves. Why is this? It's due to three interrelated cultural changes during the 90s and the 2000s. One is the emergence of neoliberalism, liberalism. One is the emergence of neoliberalism and competitive individualism. The other is the rise of the doctrine. How the fuck do you say doctrine? I always read it in my head. I never say it out loud. Doctrine. Okay. The other is the rise of the doctrine of The other is the rise of the doctrine of meritocracy, and the last is increasingly anxious and controlling parental practices. If we dig a little deeper, it kind of links to the massive economical growth followed by the 2000s financial crisis. So what is neoliberalism? I've not studied this. I studied optometry and design. I'm learning everything for the first time. Wow, I kind of had a rough idea of it, but you know what I mean. So neoliberalism is an economical ideology focused on deregulation of free markets. And like they think where there are less regulations, a free market, it'll create better social well-being and advance society forwards. And people have their stances on this. I think I have a stance where I'm like, but you can think what you think or not. It's like very individualistic. Everyone has this mindset of I do my own thing, you do your own thing. Don't let your shit affect my shit. So the basis of neoliberalism is in its meritocratic starting point. The perfect life and lifestyle full of achievements, wealth and social status. They're all available to anyone if you work hard enough. Without the doctrine of meritocracy, neoliberalism kind of starts seeming a little bit selfish and unjust. This is because meritocracy provides the moral justification of the outcomes of neoliberalism. This idea ends up connecting education, achievement, status, and wealth with innate personal value, that people are worthless unless they live up to an economic value. If you're always competing with people instead of working together, of course it creates constant comparison between each other and stress over being the best, being perfect, doing enough or not enough. Neoliberalism has caused the idea of community to dissipate. People are showing less empathy towards each other and are more prone to doing things that ultimately only add to their own personal gain and achievements. Perfectionism is a consequence of competitive individualism. So let's find the opposite of perfection. This tells me that the sound is likely to be associated with group activities, community, maybe the sound of board games, dinner parties, glasses clinking, sounds that are associated with building connections with each other. Perhaps the sounds I'm looking for would need to stay away from associations of work and reward. Harvard says that the link between the need to achieve and perfect may overvalue performance and undervalue self. A person ends up learning only through performance that he has a self. This made me think people who have spent their whole life chasing social status and wealth, they might actually genuinely associate these things with true happiness and fulfillment. Would they even recognize a sound as nice sounding if it was related to something that was the opposite of those activities? For example, would someone raised to prioritize wealth appreciate the sound of crickets chirping in the countryside? I would need to find a sound that bridges the gap between superficial fulfillment and true fulfillment. But does superficial fulfillment, is that actually a thing? Because like we decide what fulfills us. Do I cater to the rise of individualism because that's what people are naturally gravitating towards right now because it makes them feel safe? So I truly am kind of stumped. I do know that the perfect sound will not 100% reflect our current ideas of perfection in practical life. Because if it does, it'll just make people feel sad. But perhaps that is just the truth. I don't know if I should go further down this avenue or keep trying to find something that can move people forward, something hopeful and beautiful. But then I might just be trying to find beauty. But maybe people don't want the truth. They want certainty. Our current world is full of instability. The pursuit of perfection is just a way to cope with this feeling of unsafeness. Oh my god, okay, nearly done. Should I lean into this illusion or, I don't know. But I'm starting to think, I'm not searching for the perfect sequence of sounds, but instead I'm searching for the sound of relief. Anyways, I think I need to research psychoacoustics to get a better idea of what direction I should head towards. And it's raining now. Be back with a new video in a week.